It's National Plug-in Day in 60 cities across the nation, but here at our home at the Automobile Driving Museum in El Segundo, California, we're doing things on a grand scale. We've invited everyone. We've got the usual suspects like the Nissan LEAF and the Chevrolet Volt, but we also have the Coda, the Mitsubishi i-MiEV, the Fisker Karma, the Tesla Roadster, the Tesla Model S, the BMW 1 Series Electric, the Ford Focus Electric. We even have an electric motorcycle called a Bramo, and we've got the Volkswagen Golf Electric. But first, let's talk politics. Janice!
MotoMan.
I had no idea. You actually eat the dog food.
I drive an electric vehicle.
You do?
I'm one of 2 members of Congress that actually drives an all-electric vehicle.
Okay, now be honest with us. You don't have any other car?
I do. I own no other car.
So no Nissan LEAF is your rig?
This is my rig. I haven't been to a gas station in a year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Earl!
Yes, MotoMan, what can I do for you?
I promised the people a magic trick.
Okay, well, we've brought it here today. We have a Milburn Electric. This happens to be a 1921 model. However, they started production in 1914 and 15, and this is the same body style from 1914-15 up to 1921.
So Brian, we've had a lot of EV car guys here today, but you are a special case.
How come?
Because you're the only one that brought a Ford Focus Electric. Ford, we sent an invite, they declined, they weren't going to send a car, so I was kind of bummed. I wanted just a clean sweep, and you brought us the clean sweep.
Oh, I'm glad I could help out.
Has there been any close moments?
Well, there has. I have rage anxiety like many people who own an electric vehicle, particularly because there's not enough charging stations out there. So there was one evening in the rain, in the dark, I was coming home to San Pedro. I got it down to about 2 miles left. I started sweating. I turned the lights off, the windshield wipers off, the radio off.
So you're at night and you turn the lights off? Okay, well, CHP, we didn't hear this.
I know. But I was, I thought, what's going to happen? I mean, you can't exactly...
Now, would you have a get-out-of-jail-free card for something like that if they were to pull you over?
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they would just see me as a lady in distress and see what they could do to get me home.
It may be a funky electric car from back in the day, but it operates like its contemporaries. Instead of a steering wheel, it has a tiller. You can steer with one hand, move forward to steer one direction, back to steer another. But how do you go forward? How does the car move? Where's the accelerator? That's what this second tiller is for. Push forward to move the car forward, but going in reverse, you have to engage a foot pedal and then pull back, car goes backwards. So what did you do today?
I did about 10 people wanted to test drive it. I let them test drive it around the block.
Wait, you let people drive your own personal car?
I let people drive my own personal car.
Okay, so for the avoidance of doubt, you don't draw a paycheck from Ford?
No.
You don't work for a PR agency at Ford?
No.
Your own personal car, you let strangers drive it?
Yep.
So you bring up a good point, though. The infrastructure really is the big impediment of the whole thing. What's going on in Washington to help the infrastructure?
Right, and I think you're right. I mean, I was committed to buying an electric vehicle. I believe in it. I believe in zero emissions. I like the idea of getting this country, moving in a direction that we're not so dependent on oil, foreign or other or domestic. But we need more infrastructure. We need charging stations out there so people can feel free to drive wherever they want, like a gas station. Yeah. They always know it's available. So we're doing things, in the government. I'm always advocating for every time we give federal dollars for transportation, for roads, that we include kind of a shout out for more infrastructure, more charging stations.
Is there any particular program you're working on?
Well, actually, I'm working on a $10,000 tax credit for people to purchase electric vehicles. So
so it would go up from the $7,500. You'd get $10,000.
Yeah. So encourage more people to.
I've wanted to buy a Fisker, so that might help and make it a little more affordable.
There you go.
This is the front battery area of the car. It carries a total of 14 batteries, 7 up in the front, 7 in the back. This is an all original electric. Nothing's been modified, changed, or restored.
But those are the same batteries they used back in 1921?
No, these are modern Trojan deep cycle batteries that go in your golf cart when you're out there riding it. So it uses the same type of 6-volt battery, but these are modern batteries.
But these batteries, were they the same shape back in 1921?
Literally speaking, the same size and shape.
You know what's interesting about the Focus? At all the cars we had today, we've got the Fisker, we've got the Coda, we've got the Volt. This is the only one where there is a gas version. There's a regular car, and it's been modified to be an electric car. And that car is just the goodness of a regular, it's so much fun to drive.
Yeah, exactly.
Does this still carry that? Does it
This
have that DNA?
Yeah, it still has that DNA to it. There's a few differences, the characteristics of the electric motor, and you're using low resistance rolling tires.
So it's not a canyon carver.
Yeah,
But it's still a Focus.
It still has fun.
So you spend some time in Washington, right?
I do.
How do you get around there?
Well, I either, sometimes I live only like a couple minutes from the Capitol. So although I'm from LA, we don't really walk all that much. But I walk to the Capitol, I carpool. I've taken the Metro back there.
So really, the LEAF is your only vehicle.
The LEAF is
and in Washington, you are...
I am carless.
Doing the whole thing. Wow.
Yeah, so this is my only vehicle. And it's a great car. I really like it.
How long on one charge?
You can go 75 miles on one charge at 19 miles per hour. And that's over
That's
the
what we
rugged
didn't tell
roads.
people. Now, I understand you have some interesting other cars.
Yeah, I have a 06 Ford GT, which is really nice.
Wait a minute, so you have a Ford Focus electric and you have an 06 Ford GT?
Right.
So you truly have Ford bookends.
Exactly. and I have an old Ford GT40 that was made in England in the 80s. JW Automotive and Safar Engineering made 40 cars, handmade of the GT40. And they call it a continuation, not a replica.
Yeah, okay, it's not one of the original cars, but still.
Yeah.
This is a car guy. What's the biggest problem with electric cars today? Infrastructure. What if you happen to have some friends at Nissan that just happen to have a level 3 fast charger that is portable, could bring it to your home at any time? Then you'd have choices. Your standard charger at 110, 14 hours. Standard charger 220, maybe 6 hours. But level 3, this monster, 30 minutes.
Now Steve, who owns this car, has the original charger with it, which is about that wide, stands about that tall, and is about that deep. And when you bought one of these, which you can see in the board back there, were about $1,600, you got the charger with it, which you put in your garage, and it charged from that charger.
Electric cars are great, but it's a Sunday in El Segundo, and at our Classic Car Museum, that means only one thing. We go for rides in cars like this. So how many of these were built?
Roughly about 1,500 a year.
From 14 to 21?
1915 through 1921.
So what happened? Why didn't they go anywhere past 21?
They were not successful in competition to the combustion engine, and the distance that you could travel and the quickness in which you could refuel and keep right on going. You went 75 miles, you had to wait a day before you could do another 75. You do 75 miles in a combustion engine, you fill the tank and keep right on going.
So it's really the same problem that is today. It's infrastructure.
Today.
Do you spend any time with other representatives from different states talking about what they're doing with electric cars and what you can bring to California?
Well, I do. In fact, I went to an opening in Virginia with one of my fellow Congress members, Jim Moran, who was touting a shopping mall that had put in 5 chargers.
Awesome.
So we went out there, we inaugurated them, and we used the opportunity. We give floor speeches on the House floor of the Capitol, talking about the need for more infrastructure for electric vehicles throughout the entire country.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming down today, and I'm very happy to hear you're actually driving the car.
Thank you. MotoMan, you're the
Janice.
best.
Man, this thing is a snake. Look at this thing. That's a monster. Jesus. That would scare small children.